It's crashed. Okay, there we go. Gumball head is up. Personal page up. Hey everybody, it's Eric. To my gamer friends, it's Devin Donder. And to followers, it's Gumball head. So, hi. Good evening. How is everybody today? I usually wait a few seconds and let people kind of stumble in a little bit. And pop in. Hey Bugs, hey Amy. So, not a monster. Don't have it. No monster today. Today's topic was requested by a viewer last week, and it's a pretty powerful one. So, been kind of thinking about it a little bit since the conversation, and we'll just get right to it. Tonight's topic of conversation is suicide and suicide awareness. So, who in this world rightfully has never thought about what life would be like if we weren't around? I think that it's fanatical for a lot of people to realistically contemplate what life's going to be like after we leave this world, regardless of the means of how it happens. Now, obviously, religious roadblocks and spiritual roadblocks can create hindrances in our lives. And if we look back into the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, we had Dr. Jack Kevorkian, who did the assisted suicide to people that were suffering in life, and assisted in the end-of-life care for people. And that was always a challenge for me, because I looked at a lot of stuff and thought about a lot of things when I was younger, and it's difficult to even think about that. But nowadays, I'm 40 years old now, going on 41, going on 65. But over the course of life, there have been moments where I have thought those things. I've never contemplated suicide, but I have contemplated what life would be like without me around, for my kids and for my family and for my loved ones. And, it's like, wow. So even in the throes of my addiction, those thoughts were there. But I didn't do it, obviously. So how do I address this? Well, the person asked, and I'm not sure if the person that asked me about it was particularly reaching out or not, but truth is the subject was brought up. So first, let's identify with what the conceptualization is. People get to the point in their lives where it's too much to bear, and they don't want to be here anymore, or they're having a difficult time maintaining a level of lifestyle that they want to maintain, and it makes a challenge for them to continue on. There could be any number of thought processes that go through a person's head when it comes to contemplation of taking their own lives. Let's just go with some risk factors. Some risk factors are underlying psychological disorders, undiagnosed psychological disorders such as bipolar, PTSD, depression. Substance abuse disorders constantly lead to that contemplation, or that successful following through of terminating your own life in that regard. Substance abuse issues. And yes, I do take notes just so people know. So I'm not just winging things. PTSD, stressful life events that have happened that have created that. Divorce, loss of a relationship, breaking up with friends. That can be a trigger too. Being in the wrong place at the wrong time, being in the wrong company of people. But there are so many different things. Medical conditions. Here's the biggest one, folks, and we've got to understand this. Now, I harshly judge. Let me rephrase that, because I don't judge, but I strongly encourage people to encourage their children and encourage their choices in their own minds, and we encourage our children to be who they are and have a voice. And if you read the post earlier on my Facebook page, I was talking about suppression versus depression, and talking about how it's difficult for our kids to listen to us and say, sit down and shut up, and that suppresses them, which leads into medication, which leads into that depression over time, and therapy, and sometimes therapy isn't successful. Here, let's add a little punch kick to this whole thing. And when I was younger, this wasn't such a big deal, but now there's so much bullying via the internet, via text messages, via social media in general, Instagram. I saw it today, like 45 minutes ago. I seen it on Pinterest. Add to that the LGBTQ community, and it makes things even worse. The younger you are, it's even harder, and it's difficult for our children to come out to us and be honest with us because they're afraid of what we're going to say, but they're already getting bullied at school. But our children don't understand that we're supportive of that, as parents. We're loving parents, and even if you're not a loving parent, you'll learn to love them because they're your child. You'll learn to love their decision because that's what we do as parents. So, but that is where this came from. Was this particular instance that I saw on Instagram earlier was because of LGBTQ community, and somebody was being bullied, and like I said, it was just a post, but it was pretty dark, and it was like, wow, okay, I never even thought of it from those things. My background is a paramedic and firefighter, medical examiner, EMT, doing those things in life. Some of the stuff that I've seen, wow, and I still have PTSD to this day, but thankfully, through the grace of medical insurance and me swallowing my pride and setting aside my ego because of the things that I've been through, I'm able to talk about these things. And Gumball Head has given me the ability to do that to a audience. So, what I said was we've got to be supportive. Now, this some of the things that we can do to counteract these suicidal thoughts or these suicidal ideations is reach out to your friends, reach out to your family. I really was honored to have someone bring that up to me, and whether or not you were contemplating it or talking about it, I have no doubt in my mind that at some point in your life, people have contemplated that or thought about it. And when all the chips are down, what are your options? You either suck it up and deal with it, or you don't. And those that are watching right now, just keep in mind you're 100% successful on your worst days. Overcoming adversity and negativity in your lives, and you're still here and you're watching, and that means that you're here for a reason. And there's people in here that I haven't seen on here before, so thanks for coming in. Spiritual leaders, meditation instructors, priests, ministers, preachers, school guidance counselor. For those college students, there's a huge list, like here at Western Michigan University. I just did one quick click, mental health, stability, suicide prevention, Kalamazoo, and like the first 25 options were Western Michigan University. So the statistics that I pulled tonight, just so everybody knows, are from mayoclinic.org, as well as the Suicide Prevention Lifeline. So reach out, even if you don't think that it's necessary, or that you're just thinking about it. It's fine. The thought is there. Get help, because we don't want to watch another loved one pass away. In the addiction community, so many people I've seen pass away because of overdose. I've seen people pass away because of taking their own lives. I've been next to people that have taken their own lives. I have held hands. I have worked people that have done that. And there's a lot of grief there. There's a lot of pain and a lot of suffering, not just for the first responders, but for the family members and all of that. And I'm not saying this to guilt trip anybody. I'm just saying, if you feel that you need help, please, please, please reach out and get help. I'll just say real quick, suicidepreventionlifeline.org. Their phone number 800-273-8255. If there's ever a thought that you need help, to your personal health safety, or to a friend's health safety, or to your, to anything that involves that, please reach out. Locally here at Kalamazoo, we've got Griffin Place. You can call 911. There's plenty of groups here. But here's something that I found kind of intriguing in doing some research today, that 45% of all suicide victims families polled, within 30 days had primary care physician contact. So it's 45%. So almost half of the people that had taken their own lives had contact with the PCP, primary care physician, within a month to 40 days. So that number is astounding, because that means half of those people walked into that office looking for help, and for some reason, either the help didn't materialize or they didn't ask the proper questions. Both sides, the victim or the medical care provider. Now, we all make that joke about, oh, all doctors want to do is push pills and this and that and the other thing. If that's your doctor and all they want to do is push pills, get another doctor, because he's not doing you any justice. If you go in there with a complaint about side or hip pain, they should resolve that. They shouldn't say, here, take these pills and you'll get over it. You know why? Because that leads to addiction. So, just a thought, just my own personal opinion. So here are some things to keep an eye on. Here are some things to keep an eye out for if you're concerned about people. If you're concerned about somebody that's contemplating it, if they're overly obsessed with things such as death and dying or watching morbidity. Back when I was younger, there was a television VHS that you could get called Faces of Death, and it was sick and twisted, but it was interesting because they did it in kind of a documentary form, but it was images in negative images of people passing away and dying. So we won't revisit that. But if people are pill stockpiling or weapon stockpiling, this could be a thought process, something to consider. When they start to withdraw from society, or they start to become reclusive, when they start to withdraw from communication from the family, when they start to delete their Facebook accounts or start deleting multiple friends on their Facebook account, or not responding to texts when they're usually pretty active on the text messaging, it's a good time to check in on them. And if you ever are concerned about somebody, just check in on them. Send them a text. Hey, you know what? I'm thinking about you. You know, I mean, maybe you could save a life just by sending a text message. Mood swings or increase in substance abuse. Them speaking, or you yourself speaking or thinking of feeling trapped or useless. I assure you, everybody out there, you have value in this world. Your breath in and your breath out, and your mind and your beautiful thoughts are all encouraged, and they're always going to be respected by someone. If you're not getting that feedback from people, then you're with the wrong people. Just move the fuck on and do what you got to do. Risky and self-destructive behaviors. I can identify with this. Driving drunk, or, just doing dumb stuff, or giving away belongings. I know that when I started to take this office back over, I started packing up a bunch of stuff, and I had these knickknacks, and I had books and stuff like that. And I've always identified with this office as kind of, not necessarily my man cave, but it's the brat cave. It's where everybody just kind of hangs out, the kids and me. And, this has always kind of been our area. Now I've got my video game system here, and it's always kind of been like a place to chill out. But after my last relapse, I was like, I can't really be in this room comfortably right now. So I need to start changing things. And I started changing things. I got rid of some of the knickknacks and stuff, put up some new shelves, rearranged the room, made it more of a comfortable, realistically comfortable space for me. So it's not about me, but it's freeing the mind, the ability to change things in here to just kind of help myself and my mental health. So I did talk about victims of bullying. Another thing that we can kind of identify with, some of us can, is being unsure of sexual preference. Not just being LGBTQ, but being unsure of your sexual orientation. That can create some of those thoughts and this and that and the other thing. And I assure you, kids and even adults, nothing wrong with the way that you think. You love who you love. Our hearts are designed to be attracted to someone else, or designed and attracted to be to something else. So, follow your heart and do what you got to do. So here's where we kind of get into my favorite part of this type of discussion, mental health in general. Okay, not necessarily suicide awareness, but mental health in general. I am not a fan of pills. I used to abuse Celexa and alcohol because it would intensify my alcohol, and it would reduce the amount of alcohol that I had to take. But in doing so, I would go a couple of days without taking my Celexa, and then I would boost my alcohol with Celexa. Okay. Not all antidepressants work for people. I used it for the wrong reasons, okay? But when I was not doing that, it was working very well for me. And um, it did work well for me. And what it would do is it would boost my mood and I would be a lot happier. The downside to that is there are a lot of people out there that suffer from increased suicidal ideations because of the medications that they're on. There's a period of time when you start taking a medication that is required to get into your body in order to start working, because you got to keep in mind medications change the chemical makeup not only of your body but of your brain too. So when you got different things firing inside your brain, synapses, and you've got different chemical processes happening all over your body, and that all works harmoniously because your blood pumps, through your heart and all of that. But it takes time, okay? And now look at me. Everybody knows that I'm a bigger guy. So it might take somebody 1 week to get 1 week to get into a medication, or 2 weeks to get into a medication. It might take me a little bit longer. I have a thyroid disease that reduces my metabolism or super boosts my metabolism. So I have a wonky metabolism. Sometimes Celexa was just working really great, and then other days it's just like, bleh. Okay. But it did take me a couple of weeks to get used to my antidepressants. And once it did, I was happier than a hog of shit. I'm no longer on any medication aside from my thyroid medication. I pulled myself off of that. I was prescribed Xanax for my cruise back in December, and I also did not take that. So I've been very careful with the pills, and I'm not saying that don't take them. I'm not saying that at all, because some people, they work great for it. If it's not working for you, find something else, and if that doctor isn't working for you, find a different doctor, and I know it's hard. You got to wait 5-6 weeks to get into a doctor's office or whatever, but the options are there. And if that's the case, take those pills for a couple of weeks, make that phone call a mental health professional, start seeing a counselor. Psychologists, they can, typically work with you on that. Psychiatrists, you could talk to sober coaches, substance abuse counselors. You can talk to marital counselors. All of these people are trained in that trauma-based PTSD, mental health, observation and execution of help. Okay. So I'm trying not to get sidetracked here, because there's a lot going on inside the old gumball here. I will say, just in closing here, and I appreciate everybody that's here. And last week I had more views than I ever have in my life. And I was very blessed by that, because it's obvious that these videos are, I wouldn't say necessarily helping. And I'm not looking for ego or feedback or anything here. What I'm saying is I'm doing these videos because they're passionate. I'm passionate about them. I want to help as many people as I possibly can. And the best way to reach that audience is from Facebook, or through LinkedIn, or through other social media outlets. I'm trying to use social media as a positive thing. Okay. Tonight's topic is very near and dear to me. I have lost friends to suicide. I have lost friends to overdose. And recently have lost friends to overdose. And it's concerning for me because of all the stuff that's on the street. And addiction sucks. And it's tough for everybody, okay? And we all know that the spirit of Gumball Head itself is not connecting, is not addiction focused. It's not Buddhism focused. It's trying to understand what it's like to be an addict from a non-addicted mindset. But the truth behind it is this suicide, this affects everyone, just like the opioid epidemic. You're either for treatment or you're for, everybody getting help. But there's just so much pushback from the community, because they're sick and tired of the epidemics. But the problem is we cannot do anything about it, and we don't think about the effects that these drugs and these prescription drugs are having on people, and that's why they turn to these other drugs. Okay. But if we take a step back and think about the people that we've met in our lives, okay, those that are partaking in those risky behaviors, those people that say, I'm just drinking so one day at a time so I can get through, so I can get through to the next day. I wake up to drink, go to bed to drink. They need help too, and it's tough, because one of the things that I've learned is sitting down with friends and sitting down with family and sitting down with other people is talking through my problems. And that's why I love group work. That's why I love the rooms, 12-step groups. It's why I love the Buddhist recovery programs like Recovery Dharma, Refuge Recovery, 12-step Buddhist compassion recovery. That's why I love AA. That's why I love NA, is the fact that we are like-minded people and we can sit down. And then I also love those satellite programs like Al-Anon and Alateen and all of those programs that help. The problem is we all need to come together. And I'm not talking about just addiction. I'm talking about the solutions to the problems. Okay? Suicide is not a solution. You know, we look at people that come back from war and they're dealing with a lot of things on their mind, and they have to, you know, go to the VA and they might lose their shit a little bit. But one of the things that we need to do as people that don't contemplate this stuff is be compassionate and loving towards these people and understanding in the fact that there's something going on in their brain that we need to not necessarily understand, but understand that it's affecting them, and be patient with them and help them seek that help, especially if they're a loved one or someone that's close to you. Identify these triggers. Try to identify these triggers. Try to walk and talk through these things with your loved ones. You know, work through these things. Love one another and make life better. You know, it's tough to talk about because HIPAA stops me from talking about a lot of things, but we all know somebody that's been affected by it. So I'll be around for 15-20 minutes. If anybody wants to talk, if anybody has questions, I will put the resources that I had talked about during the video in the comments section, and we will I'll offer those in there. There are some public safety links, there are some local links, and there are some national links that I'm going to put into the comments section. So absolutely, I mean, you're absolutely right. Taking care of your mental health is as important as taking care of your physical health. We can go with that. You know, we do diets and we do crash diets and we do fad diets just to kind of lose a little bit of weight for the summertime and this and that and the other thing. But something that we lose track of is the fact that we don't always check ourselves on our mental health. You know, you get so focused, me and myself, I've gotten so focused in helping other people that I lost track of my self-help, you know, and it's tough for some people. So yes, you're absolutely right. And that is a fantastic statement. So, yes, so I'll be around for 20 minutes. I will put the links in the comments, and thank you all for joining me tonight. We hit about 21 minutes, so I love you all.